What's going on, everybody? This is an awesome knife. I've actually carried this knife for about a day now, but this is going to be the introduction video to me using it all week so I can give you my final thoughts. But I got to tell you right now, this thing is stupid sharp. I mean, stupid sharp. And if y'all watched my other video, I had to send 2 of these back. And I had a question in there about why would you send 2 back and not get your money back? Well, the thing is, I loved the design of this knife. Loved it. I love the micarta scales. I really like how the micarta scales look with the green. I like the wire pocket clip. I love the blade shape. And back in the day, I didn't used to like flippers, but flippers are one of my favorite designs now. So let's get in with some of the specs since I've given you a little bit of rambling about how much I really like this knife. I'm going to readjust the camera just a little bit so you can actually see it right here. Put the tip right there. So the overall length is 6 3/4 inches. The blade length is a 2.875 inches. I do want to say this is a Vox Anzo design, and usually a Vox has some very ergonomic knives, and this one is no different. Love it. The cutting edge is only 2.5 inches because you see this big choil right here. Now this big choil is kind of an issue because if you have fat fingers, you can see that my finger actually touches the corner of that right there. So for me, the choil is maybe a no-go. If I pull back on it, like I'm putting pressure back this way, it kind of stays away from it. But if I go straight up and down, that pushes into my finger just a little bit. And if you have fatter hands, that may be an issue for you as well. My hands aren't extremely fat. They're probably like a medium size to a large. I do wear a large glove, but as far as the fatness of my fingers, and I still get it just a little bit. So I would have rather seen the blade actually come back a little further and not have had this choil. But I still love this knife, and I still love this blade shape. So the blade width is 1.125 inches, and the blade thickness is 0.12. This thing is crazy thin, and it slices like nobody's business. Seriously, this thing is a slicer. I was slicing a bunch of stuff open yesterday. I've actually used this knife probably already more than any of the other knives I tested, and this thing is a slicer, and it stays crazy sharp because it has Bowler M390 steel, which is an awesome steel. It does have a drop point blade with a flat grind. If you look right up here, you can see just the slightest flat at the top. But I don't think that's enough to really get my wicked edge on it. So I'm going to have to put something in there to kind of fill in the gaps. But there is just the slightest little flat up here at the top. One thing I do want to mention is it has jimping halfway down the back of the blade, basically halfway down the back of the spine. And I actually like that because the way this knife is made, I want to get my thumb up here like this and it lands directly over that jimping. Love that. Love the way they did that. I actually prefer the jimping right here on this knife way more than I would if it was in the back. The handle length is 3.875. Now I want to say this is very ergonomic. I really like it, but you can see there is none of the handle sticking out the bottom. I barely get 4-finger grip. I can get a 4-finger grip, but it is just barely. But it's so ergonomic, and the way this choil is made right here, it really locks into your hand. I've had no issues at all out of that. The handle thickness is 0.58 inches, a little over a ½ inch thick. The weight is 3.77 ounces. So there again, it is under 4 ounces. 4 ounces, a lot of people think is the perfect weight or under for an EDC knife. Like I said before, I like carrying heavy knives and big knives. So the weight doesn't really bother me, but for a lot of people, 4 ounces is the limit. And this is right underneath that. So it should be good for most people for EDC. Not as good as the Benchmade Bug Out, of course, because that knife is stupid light, but I really like the weight of this knife. The lock, of course, is a liner lock. I do want to show you the lockup. It is basically perfect. That lockup is awesome. And I want to say, I've got some knives in here recently that I don't like how you get into the liner lock. And the way they did this one, they have a nice cutout right here where you can actually get into it. I have a Spyderco in that was a very expensive Spyderco. It was like $170 some, which is right on par with this knife. But it is so difficult to get into the liner lock to shut that. Now these are still liners, of course. But it's hard to get into that Spyderco one. And I've actually thought about taking a Dremel to it to remedy that. But when I review that knife, I'll talk about that more. But this one is perfection to get into that liner lock. Where it's made, it is actually out of Italy. Not sure if they're made in Italy. When I sent this back, I actually had to send it to a place in Michigan. But on Blade HQ, it said country of origin was Italy. So for this, I'm going to put Italy. But I sent it back to Michigan, is where Giant Mouse was at, and that's where they sent me my new one that worked. Best use, in my opinion, is EDC. This is nowhere near big enough to probably be a self-defense tool or tactical knife. But for EDC, oh my gosh, this thing's amazing. It is amazing. I'm so glad I didn't ask for a refund and I asked for a new knife, because it is simply amazing. Now you can, it is tight, but you can reverse flick it like a Spyderco. You can open it normally. That gives you like 3 different ways to open this knife, which is very unique and pretty awesome in my opinion, that you have different ways. So if you prefer to reverse flick it, the detent's pretty strong. As you've seen, I missed it the first time, but you can reverse flick it. If you want to open it normally, like I said, the detent is still strong, but you can open it, normally, or you can use the flipper. I really, really like that, how they have this thing set up. Love it. Can't speak high enough about this knife because I just love it so much. It just feels the hand. Now, it's not as deep carry as some people would like, but I've found that not to be a big issue. Some people don't like wire pocket clips. I don't have a problem with those. I really like this one. The price of this knife is $175 at Blade HQ. Again, this will be the one I'm testing. I've already used this knife, like I said, more than other ones, and it is so sharp. I mean, I think this is the sharpest knife I've tested so far. This is sharper than the Benchmade, and I know it's sharper than the QSP, and it slices better than either one of them. I think when you get coated blades and stuff, it adds just a little bit of a drag, and this stone washed finish, which the QSP wasn't coated, but the Benchmade was, the bug out. This stone washed blade is just amazing. There's no drag, it just slices right through it. So far, this is the best EDC knife. Not a tactical knife, not the best tactical knife, but what I've tested, I know I've not tested a lot, but I've owned a lot of knives. This is an awesome, awesome knife to carry. So we're going to be testing this for a week, and I guess on Friday I will put up the video showing its rankings, what I think about it, all that stuff, and we'll see how it ranks up against the other 2 knives that I have actually reviewed so far. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.